running. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another webinar series for our admissions partner program here at the Coast Guard Academy. Thank you so much for logging in today or watching this at a future date. We are here today with the Coast Guard Academy Admissions Director, Captain Mike Fredie. He is on microphone, so will be kind of joining us to share some thoughts and some praise for our admissions partners and kind of guidance for the year ahead. We do have some of our admissions partners online with us today. And as more folks kind of log in to check it out, we'll make sure to get them involved in the conversation. So please ask your questions as we go through, and I'll record this and share it with folks in the future. So if you're not an admissions partner watching this, if you're a student or a parent, someone interested in the Coast Guard Academy or looking to kind of gain more insight into the admissions process, this is perfectly okay for you to watch as well. You'll get some information and potentially some insight, but it's mainly for our admissions partners to kind of get some face time with the admissions director. So I appreciate you all being here today. And with that, I will introduce our Director of Admissions, our fearless leader, Captain Mike Fredie, class of 1996. So Captain Fredie, if you are online, go ahead and say hi for us, sir.
Hi, Alex. Good afternoon, everybody. Alex has successfully informed me that I have a perfect face for radio. He has taken out my video capability, and I appreciate that. But I really appreciate everybody taking the time to. Great way to get information out, and I wanted to take the opportunity to do a few following and change command following Admiral Rendon's retirement. I just wanted to update you on a few of the class statistics, the class of 2023 that we'll be reporting in just a couple of weeks. We'll start with the graduation, which occurred on the 22nd. 40 service-ready ensigns are now taking leave and preparing for their time, many of which will be going to flight school eventually. Those members are going to be working in admission, so if you're coming here in the campus programs, they'll be working with us, and so we're very thankful for that opportunity to have those ensigns. But the other ensigns that are going to float and going to sectors, they'll be going to their units, and they are ready and prepared after a 200-week leadership in maritime professional development. They are, without question, probably the best and the brightest, ready to go and carry out the needs of the service. So really appreciate all the hard work for those that have been partners for the period of time when those individuals were recruited, the class of 2019. You did a very good job in that, and it's exciting to see them go to work. So graduation was really well attended. We had the National Security Director here to talk about some of the challenges that the Coast Guard faces, as well as the needs for the country. And it was a very good speech overall. But graduation was great. And then that was followed shortly by the change command of Admiral Rendon to Admiral Kelly. The presiding official was our commandant, and that was an excellent event. Very good speeches about where we've come, followed by Admiral Kelly talking about where he's going to take us. And not too much difference in terms of philosophies on what's important, and that's the mission of the Coast Guard Academy and producing leaders of character. And really excited to have Admiral Kelly on board, coming from CG1 and long distinguished career in the Coast Guard. But Admiral Rendon and Mrs. Rendon have moved to Texas, so they're there, going to enjoy their retired life in Texas with family members. And Admiral Rendon's retirement ceremony was pretty outstanding. And it was sad to see him go, but also really good to see how happy the family was after a long, distinguished career. So thank you for all the support to Admiral Rendon, and I know that will continue under Admiral Kelly. So just some notes from Admiral Kelly upon him talking to the senior leadership team, and that was, again, reinforced in his change of command speech. He had three main principles and focuses that he's going to be working on while he's here as the superintendent. The first is to ensure that this is a safe and inclusive campus. The second, to improve the overall governance in areas such as academics, fiscal, and admissions functions. And third he wants to embrace all of the 103 acres on this campus, which includes all the commands, the schools, the faculty and staff. He wants to be engaged with all of that. So those are the three main points that he outlined to the senior leadership team, and we know he's going to do an exceptional job with the support of everybody on campus, including you as valued partners, doing the great things that you do. So in addition to those significant events, if you've been following social media, Eagle is over in Europe doing historic things with the World War II memorials, pretty impressive events that are going on there, and the cadets as well as all the active duty members that are serving on board Eagle are really having an incredible experience overall. So that's pretty exciting. On the admissions front, we had two members depart. Tess Wykanski is now out in the civilian world. She's going to be moving forward to become a forestry service agent of some sort. So that will involve some schooling, and then it will follow on with a great assignment somewhere. And she's pretty excited for that opportunity to work outside of the Coast Guard, but bring her specialty leadership skills as well as her marine and environmental sciences, just put on the terrestrial side, environmental sciences to the force. So pretty exciting. And then Lieutenant Darnell Talbert, he departed as well, and he's up there at District 1 doing great things. He's now a member of the active duty reserve component. So he was actually a reserve personnel manager, or RPA. So pretty cool that he was able to make a transition from being pure reserves to come work for us on an EAD contract, and now he's working on a RPA capacity. So he's able to manage reserve forces, and they needed him right away because of all the events that are coming up where they depend upon the reserves up there in District 1. So he's not too far, and we're expecting to see him back down here for AIM helping us out. And both of those officers did a tremendous amount of work for us and did a great job. And I know you supported a lot of their efforts. So thank you very much in seeing them off. So in terms of the work effort here in admissions, as you know, we're finishing up making up the class of 2023 and the CGAS class of 2020. So we had a couple of meetings with regards to looking at wait lists and finalizing those appointments. We still have to get through some medical waivers, and we should have solid numbers here within the next week or so that folks can start showing up July 1st for the class, and then July 15th for CGAS. And that's coming really fast. So reporting day is July 1st, and a lot of work is being put into the preparations for them coming here. I know the cadets, second class cadets, are going off to do some training with regards to their cadre duties and responsibilities, and same with the folks that will be cadre for the CGAS program. They'll be going off to Cape May and learning from drill instructors. So that's a pretty cool program where they're able to get some professional instruction skills so that when they're talking to the new recruits that they're able to do it effectively and within the lines of regulations and such. So pretty excited to see that happen. And then as many of you know, because we depend upon our partners to assist in this evolution, AIM is coming up 7th of July, and we have the first week of AIM starting 7th July, and then the 2 following weeks with the other classes. So total of about 650 students have been selected, and they'll participate. And this is a number that's a little bit larger than what we were looking at last year, just because there's additional funding, and there is also that demand for additional personnel to come through. So that should definitely be very good for us when we're looking at our admission cycle for the class of 2024. And we've already started that, as you know, with recruiting events, congressional events, and all the other great things, trying to get people looking at the academy and applying to the academy. So we're well on our way. But before I get any deeper into the class of 2024 construction, I wanted to talk about the class of 2023 in the appointments that were made. So the numbers that I'm going to be providing are the raw numbers of just basic appointments. It's not what you're going to see show up on the 1st of July. We're still crunching those numbers as folks are accepting and declining their appointments, and we're getting news on what their expectations are. So this is just kind of the larger summary with regards of how many applied and how many appointments went out. So this goes without talking about the actual acceptances. So you'll hear a little bit different numbers on July 1st when I talk about that to the parents and the folks that are there for that reporting day brief. But in terms of the class of 2023 appointments, very good overall statistics when you're looking at how many folks were selected out of the applicants. So we had a total of 1,929 completed applications, and that was a pretty decent number of applicants. And when we were looking at the appointments that were made, all 50 states were represented in our appointments. Obviously, some states were more represented than others, but in terms of having representation from each of the 50 states, that was achieved in our appointments. 58% were male, 42% appointments to females. 7% had schooling outside of high school. So 7% were either junior college or a year of college or self-preppers. 15% of the class of 2023 that were appointed were Coast Guard Academy scholars. So they were selected last year to go to the prep schools, and they graduated and will be coming in the class of 2023. 36% attended AIM, and 2 members were direct appointments straight from the fleet. So 2 Coast Guard enlisted members were selected to come into the class of 2023. Underrepresented minority, 36% were appointed, and let's see, 78% were STEM majors, and that includes the CGAS. If you take out the CGAS numbers, it was 83% from the folks that we evaluated, straight appointments for the class of 2023. Average high school GPA was 3.85 on a 4.0 scale. There were 24 valedictorians and 12 salutatorians. 50% of the students that were appointed were recruited athletes. 7% were rated musicians. So that's kind of the vital statistics with regards to the class of 2023 appointments, and pretty impressive overall. We're talking about the CGAS class of 2020. 34 states were represented. 74% had intended STEM majors as their primary major of choice. 40% female, 43% recruited athletes, 8% rated musicians, 34% attended AIM. The average PFE score was 216. The average GPA was 3.61. We took 3 members directly from the enlisted ranks to go into the scholars program, and 63% of the appointees to the class of 2020 CGAS class were underrepresented minorities. 2 members represented from Puerto Rico, 1 from Guam. So pretty good, very good diverse group there. Now, when we're talking about the impact of some of the challenges that we've faced, and we were still able to achieve those statistics, some of the challenges that I'll be open and upfront with, you had a new director, they came up with some crazy ideas and implemented those, and folks had to live with some of the changes, and some of those changes that we made for this last appointment season you might not see for the upcoming recruiting and appointment season. We got some lessons learned there, and we'll definitely have a way forward on what the expectations are. One of the things was the interview requirements, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Some other challenges that we ran into, some bad press, which we were able to work through. The core of what this academy is all about will never change, and regardless of what the news is, we know what the academy is all about, and it's important that we definitely highlight the successes, but also talk about some of the challenges. So bad press isn't exactly something that we need to shy away from. If there's things that need to be highlighted, well, that's good. And but we also need to highlight what is really good here, and that's what sells the day. So we were able to work through those. And then we had a shutdown, 33 days of not being able to do much other than just carry out the daily functions, because we didn't have funding, we didn't have the ability to travel, but we still had a mission to accomplish, and the team collectively was able to push through and get the job done. So regardless of the shutdown, we were still able to move forward. And then another challenge, which is actually beneficial to all of America, but it doesn't really help out service academies, is a good economy. When you typically have a good economy, there's a lot of financial aid, there's other opportunities that folks don't typically turn to the military for options. So you may see a downturn in terms of overall applicants, but overall we still had a robust candidate pool to work from, and we made some decent selections. But I really wanted to say that the success achieved in constructing the class of 2023 and the CGAS class of 2020 is in large part due to the enthusiasm, dedication, and the initiative of all of you, the partners. We couldn't have done even a fraction of what was able to be done under all the challenges, under all the various commitments associated with carrying out a recruiting season if we didn't have a strong workforce of dedicated volunteers. You guys were exceptional, and I really wanted to highlight my thanks and the superintendent's thanks for all the hard work and efforts that were put into this last admission season, which was actually fairly successful when you think about all the statistics that I just put out there. So Alex provided me a breakdown of all the events that occurred that partners took part in and actually led in many cases. So we're talking about college fairs, 398 events where partners participated. Service academy events, 205. High school visits, 302. Phone calls with prospective students, 25. Personal outreach with prospective students, 30. Coast Guard Academy outreach events, 144. Admissions events, which included being on board Eagle or even briefs, 19. Congressional outreach, 18 events. And here's the big one. I instituted a desire to maximize the amount of interviews that we did for the incoming students so that we had a good understanding of who we were actually getting outside of the admissions process. And applicant interviews, 598. Outstanding. So that's 75% of the appointments that were made actually had interviews associated with it. And that made our job that much more easier in understanding who we were getting as a student. That extra eye associated with those interviews was so critical. So I really appreciate the hard work and dedication that made that possible. And obviously, the expectation is that we're going to do it again. So we're asking you to do the same thing that you did for this last recruiting season with the class of 2024. We want to make sure that we maximize those interview opportunities. And I know it's a tremendous workload, and in some cases, the folks that you interviewed may have not have been selected, but please understand that it's so important that we understand more about the students, and this is just another touch that we're able to get additional information. In addition to that, the students are learning from the folks that they're sitting down with an interview for. In many cases, the students have never interviewed for anything before, maybe a work effort or something related to their personal life, but in terms of the actual job opportunity like this, having the opportunity to interview and practice those skills and and learn about the Coast Guard through the first person that they're interviewing with, that's tremendous. That's a great FaceTime opportunity that we can't put a value to. It's so critical in the grand scheme of things. So I just wanted to foot stomp that success and to thank you all for your efforts in that respect. I know we only have a small portion of the 997 partners that we have out there, but every single effort counts. And we're talking across the United States, we're talking in some cases foreign territories, but we cannot do that alone. And we really appreciate the hard work and dedication put into all that you do, the recruiting effort, in addition to the fine-tune exercise of the actual interview. And the interviews were excellent. You know, reading about the students in a different light and understanding whether or not they were likely or somewhat likely or highly likely to accept an appointment, that was definitely very important to us when we did the reviews in the admissions committee. So thank you in that respect. And with every appointment season, there's appointment presentation requirements. So we really appreciate the hard work and effort put into presenting appointments to students. And we know that as of right now, we have 28 appointment presentations that have been conducted by partners, and more to come, as we know from calendars and check-ins with us. So thank you very much. And then in terms of cadet recruiting leave events, 241 are registered there in the last year. So outstanding work by all the partners, and we really are appreciative of hard work and the coordination that goes into what you do on a daily basis. I went out to a few events, and quite frankly, I didn't need to be there because the partners were awesome. They were right on every single aspect of it, and the interaction with the students, the interaction with the other tables, talking to the parents, showing the actual best that the Coast Guard can actually show, and then fine-tune it to what the Coast Guard Academy is all about. The partners have done a phenomenal job, and I really appreciate that. So, I just wanted to take that opportunity to understand that the smoke is clearing from all the hard work of 2023, and before it gets left in the dust in reporting day, and then we switch to the class of 2024 efforts, I really owed it to all of you to just express my appreciation for the hard work and dedication that went into this appointment season. Without question, I feel it's a success. I know it's my first full season, but I'm pretty happy with the end results. Can we do better? Absolutely. But we can do better with the class of 2024, because the class of 2023 is almost in the books. And I think it went pretty well, but we can always do better. So as I'm looking at the counter, I can't believe I've already talked 35 minutes, and hopefully people are still awake. There should be like a sleep meter determining who's asleep and whatnot, as I see Andrea and Bev and Bruce and Charlotte and Daniel and Danny all online listening. And I know Alex is probably in his office fast asleep because I can't see his picture anymore. But just want to say thank you for your attention. And I'm going to open the floor for any questions. You still there, Alex?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time you took to speak to everybody, and I'm glad we were able to. That's funny, Joe. Glad we were able to kind of record it and get some kind of information out to our admissions partners. So thank you so much. I did want to mention kind of just a year ahead thing, looking at the class of 2024, and I may need to just mute you real quick, Captain. Just look at the year ahead kind of class of 2024 issues. I wasn't sure if there are no questions, if Captain Fredie, if you wanted to touch briefly on that. And then one thing that I will be looking at for the next year, now that we've kind of rolled out the new interview process, and I'm working with kind of CG Legal on this one at the moment, but working to find a way to use volunteers in the PFE process, because that's oftentimes an overlooked or often incomplete part of an applicant's application. being that they don't have the resources available to conduct the PFE. So that may be something that is up and coming. If not this year, then potentially a following year. But we're always looking for new ways to use our volunteer resources. I think everybody does a really fantastic job, like Captain highlighted. So thank you again, Captain. With that, we'll open the floor to questions. I will unmute Captain again. I will go back on mute just to kind of help the volume work a little better there. PFE, physical fitness exam. That's the 3-part battery, running, push-ups, and sit-ups. So, Captain, I'll let you back on the microphone. I appreciate it, and we can start going through the questions if you want to kind of read them out loud. We'll start with what was the count for engineering majors?
Awesome. So I can tell you that 83% without CGAS were STEM focused. In terms of the actual breakdown of engineering, I'm going to have to get that information to you. I can break it down by the various engineering majors, and we'll make sure that you get that information as soon as we break from here. Sorry about that. All right. PFE, we answered. I will tell you that the majority of the applicants that we saw were either marine environmental science and mechanical engineering. So pretty interesting to see that. We did have a shortage with regards to our electrical engineering, because I think a lot of the folks that were considering cyber may have thought electrical engineering initially, and then they have cyber as an option, so they decided to have cyber as their primary and electrical as their secondary. So our goal is to, influence students to consider other majors once they get here. They'll get a brief on what engineering side are here and the differences between the different engineering disciplines. So although that they've been appointed based off of their interest in majors and such, they'll have the opportunity to potentially change majors, especially if it's an engineering discipline. They might have the opportunity to slide over to a different engineering focus. So again, I'll provide you additional information on the various engineering breakdowns for the class of 2023 appointments. And Alex is doing a good job keeping up with the questions, so thank you.
All right, great. Captain, thank you again so much. I just placed you back on mute very quickly. It seems to be a little bit of interference if one of us is off mute. So thank you again, Captain. I appreciate it. We are rounding out our hour here, or excuse me, half hour here from 1400 to 1430 Eastern Standard Time. So thank you for being online, sharing with us some of your praise and thoughts and some of the changes here at CGA. So we're very excited about everything kind of that's been moving forward here on campus. We have AIM to look forward to. We have recruiting class of 2024. We have swearing in day. There's a lot of stuff happening this summer. So thank you to all the volunteers helping to facilitate those items. Thank you to CAPT Fredie and to all our admissions staff. I will post this online for folks to see and hear. CAPT Fredie, any final?
Alex, can you?
Go ahead, Captain, whenever you're ready. There we go. Any final thoughts or words, Captain?
No, again, I really appreciate the hard work that was put into the class of 2023, and no rest for the weary right into 2024. So keep up the hard work and effort, and if there's stuff that we can do for you and let you know, please keep the communication flow going. I think us being able to answer your questions and get you the information resources that you need helps us out in the big picture wise. So that's our job, to support you in the field. So thank you for getting out there and doing what you do. Wave the red flag for the Academy and for the Coast Guard. It's making a difference. And so thank you.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Captain Fredie. Appreciate you being online today again, and thank you to all our missions partners. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Keep doing what you do as great volunteers, and forever, go Bears. Thanks so much.